All right, welcome to Prime's Fantasy Island. That's right, where I'm here to talk about fantasy football. By the way, if you're not following us on Raider Reaction, Facebook /Raider Reaction, you should do so. If you are going to be watching this on a watch party, then yeah, you got to get to the live show on the Raider Reaction page if you want me to answer your fantasy football questions as we head into the playoffs. That's right, we got playoff fantasy football coming up right around the corner. So if you're still playing, then hey, good job. You made it through this weird-ass COVID season with people getting injured and on injured reserve. Like, oh man, so many guys injured, so many big names. Odell Beckham Jr. on the IR. You know, Christian McCaffrey hasn't played, and he played like 2 games all year or something like that, you know, and he's been hurt. You know, Austin Eckler just came off the injured reserve. I mean, there are so many major fantasy football, you know, mainstays that have suddenly, they all went down. They all got hurt. So hit me up with your fantasy football questions. If you got a question about your fantasy football playoff lineup, feel free to post that in the comments, and I will, of course, give you all of the wisdom that I have attained over the years, and the fact that I do play in 2 leagues. In one of them, I made the playoffs, and the other one, I just couldn't overcome the injuries. But I had to go on a serious push, and thanks to DK Metcalf as well as Darren Waller, man alive, he had 47 points for me last week. That's ridiculous, with over 200 yards and 13 catches and 2 touchdowns. That's huge out of the tight end position. So I was waiting for Waller to pop, and he finally did. Bam. What do you know? So I'm heading to the playoffs in one league. I'm not heading to the playoffs in the Hardcore Challenge, which I play with the commission. I, of course, am on the rules committee and all that stuff, although I haven't really been available for the whole lot of that lately. I just focus on the fantasy football I'm playing right now. So what that means is, of course, I have to keep an eye on my lineup. I have to know what is going to happen in these games, or at least prognosticate the best I can. What's that even mean? I'm going to just try and guess. No, I'm not just guessing, though. All this guessing comes from actual success that I have received here. So, we have that first game of the evening, which is New England and the Rams. And it looks like New England is going to the Rams. So that's going to be a long trip for that East Coast team. Usually they fare a little bit better than the West Coast teams going east, but, you got to look at your fantasy football propositions there. I mean, think about it. I mean, Cam Newton is, I think he scored like 2 rushing touchdowns the past 2 weeks. So, I mean, he had a big game with that 45 burger they put up against the the Chargers. That 40 burger. Woo-wee. That's a lot of points, and that was a lot of fantasy points too. So, of course, on the other side of the ball, you're going to look at, Jared Goff. Jared Goff has kind of been a turnover machine as of late. You can't really go with him or trust him right now, but who you can trust on that Rams offense is Robert Woods. He has put together quite a nice season, and in fact, he has one of the best nicknames in football with 7-Eleven. And why do they call him 7-Eleven? Because he's always open, right? So, of course, moving on to the next game, I'd say Minnesota-Tampa Bay. I mean, really, you got a whole lot going on here. Dalvin Cook is, of course, one of the best running backs in the league in Tampa Bay with Mike Evans, who is a little bit gimpy right now. So you're going to want to keep an eye on that. But, I mean, Tom Brady, he's looking to bounce back. Whatever, Tom Brady. And Gronkowski, whatever. So that's about it for that game. Of course, no, I can't leave out, not necessarily Kirk Cousins, but Adam Thielen, man, that's his favorite. And Justin Jefferson, actually, the wide receiver. Both wide receivers from Minnesota have been, scoring some solid points the last couple of weeks. So, once again, if you have any questions about your fantasy football lineup, feel free to put those in the comments there, and I'll be happy to answer them the best I can with the stats and the knowledge that I possess. That's right. So, anyway, after that, of course, we got to look at that Arizona-New York Giants game where, honestly, all right, so Danny Dimes is not necessary. I don't think he's going to start, so I wouldn't worry about that. I mean, it's hard to bet on that New York Giants offense, really, whatsoever. Now, on the other side of the ball, of course, Kyler Murray, he's taken a step back. But, you know what? I think he's going to bounce back against these Giants. So if Kyler Murray can play like like he's shown so far, I mean, he's been on the outskirts of MVP talk. So, I mean, why not? Why not? So anyway, I think Kyler Murray's going to have a bounce back game. Of course, DeAndre Hopkins, D-Hop, you can't forget him. He's one of the best wide receivers in the league. And then after that, I mean, let's take a look at that KC-Miami game. Of course, KC and Miami, well, Patrick Mahomes is undoubtedly the highest scoring fantasy quarterback in fantasy football right now. And I don't think he has any intentions of slowing down. Of course, any one of those skill positions can bring up big money for you in the playoffs. I mean, if you have Travis Kelce, he is one of the best tight ends in the league. Tyreek Hill, that guy, And on the other side of the ball, you got Tua. Now, Tua Tagovailoa, man, I tell you, he has been underproducing. And by the way, put those questions in the comments. I see plenty of people watching. I don't see any questions there. Anyway, Tua Tagovailoa, man, he has not really been an offensive juggernaut whatsoever. Now, he does seem to have some it factor that has willed its way to wins, for Miami, although I think that ends pretty soon. In fact, he's going to take his lumps. And honestly, all of the Miami offensive weapons, they produce better with Fitzmagic, man. If Fitzmagic is in there, then everything blows up. Devontae Parker's better. Everybody's better. So anyway, Tennessee and Jacksonville. Ooh, Tennessee, I mean, Derrick Henry, once again, one of the best, if not the best right now running back in the league. The man is a hoss. He reminds me of Marshawn Lynch, except bigger. Man, he doesn't catch a lot of passes, but I swear, if that guy added maybe 3 more catches per game, he would just be a fantasy juggernaut, man. That's just the bottom line, man. But other than that, no, you can't really trust anyone else on that Tennessee offense. Now, the Jacksonville Jaguars, they're kind of interesting. 1-11 they are, but still, Chark, he seems to make an appearance every now and again. He's not a bad wide receiver to have. And still wondering why, man, there's not been one comment. If you have fantasy football questions, I will answer them. I will help you get your lineup straight for the playoffs. That's right. You are watching Prime's Fantasy Island. I'm going all the way up till kickoff. And right now, I think the NFL has some, I don't know, are these guys the Temptations or something? I don't even know. But they're funky like it. They're funky like the Temptations or something. I don't know. I can't hear it. I can only see it. So, who knows? But is this even the channel that the football is on? Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, now we're better. I'm like, what? No, now we're seeing some highlights of the Rams and the Super Bowl. Now we're talking. Now we're cooking with Crisco. You know what I mean? So, anyway, if you're watching this in a watch party, then by all means, come over to Facebook /Raider Reaction and get on the live broadcast so I can answer your questions about fantasy football. So, anyway, I'm just going through the games right now, and I'm talking about the fantasy stalwarts. So, if you, once again, have any questions, let me know. Meanwhile, looking at Dallas and Cincinnati. Well, we got a couple of backup quarterbacks. Maybe Giovanni Bernard there for Cincinnati. I think he might be the only offensive fantasy football guy on the Bengals we're starting. But anyway, and Dallas, well, you can't trust anyone. Maybe the wide receivers, they're still going to get theirs. Thanks for the love. Let's see some comments. Let's get some questions up in here before I just rip Dallas some more. Nah, Dallas is a hot dumpster fire. Oh, Raider Nation from Peru. Jacob is going to be healthy this week. What up, Johnny Secklin? Well, thank you for tuning in all the way from Peru. I had a good friend back in high school. He was from Peru. His mom made the best tamales. But anyway, talking about Jacobs. Well, they think so. Right now, Jacobs is still a little up in the air. But the Raiders are saying that the big offensive lineman and Jacobs should play. They should play. That doesn't guarantee anything, but they should play. So anyway, but thanks for the question there, Johnny. I appreciate it. Meanwhile, Houston and Chicago, you got the Bears and the Texans. Houston Texans. Isn't that just one of the dumbest names? Like, they're in Houston. Of course they're Texans. Anyway, there's not like Houston, Missouri or something like that. Booker will be the man, not worried about the run game. Yeah, well, thank you, first of all. Mario, you the man, because you are a supporter, so we certainly appreciate you. Now, Booker will be the man. Well, probably, but even if Booker's going to be there, but if Jacob starts, man, then Jacob, he's one of those old school kind of backs, dude. He's going to want to play in the game, hurt or otherwise. If he's hurt, he's playing. If he's injured, he might come out. But Jacobs is a stud, dude, and if he gets in the game, he's not going to want to come out of the game. So, I mean, you might temper your bets on Booker, especially if Jacobs starts, because Jacobs he's gonna want that ball. Period. You got to give it to him 20 times a game. 20 times a game. Then go deep when you throw it. Anyway, I don't want to talk about it. Houston, Chicago, Deshaun Watson, he's a stud. Wide receivers, Fuller, I think should make a pretty good appearance this week, as well as that might be about it for Houston. And of course, Chicago, Mitch Trubisky is starting again. Bitch Trubisky. Anyway, I've never been a fan of him. I don't know how that guy was number 1 pick or 3 pick or whatever it was. He was garbage, man. He had like one good year, and that was only because they were all like, trick plays and whatnot. They were all gadget plays. So, blah, that game. Denver, Carolina. No McCaffrey, no Run DMC. Or Run MCM? I don't know. CMC? I don't know. All right, Run CMC? Whatever. It's silly. Run DMC is cooler than Run CMC. All right, so, but there's not going to be any of that. So, the backup running back, Mike, I forgot his last name, but he is going to be a stud, especially against Denver. Denver couldn't stop they couldn't fight their way out of a paper bag or a wet paper bag. Denver, what up, Denver? Good to see you, long time. Yeah, just talking fantasy football here. If you're playing fantasy football right now, you're heading into the playoffs, so, you might have some lineup decisions to make. Otherwise, I got to take it to the New York Jets in Seattle, and the New York Jets are, they're going to Seattle, and that's going to be a tough game for them because the Seahawks are looking to bounce back. So Russell Wilson's going to be a stud. Lockett's going to be good. DJ. Oh man, I'm losing it. Yeah. Anyway, all the wide receivers for Seattle, the 2 starting ones, are going to be good. So, other than that, let's see. Oh, what up? Craven? Welcome back. It's all good. I know you just got here late, and if you're getting here late, we've only got a few more minutes before kickoff, and that's when I head out. But in the meantime, go ahead, put up those fantasy football questions. And don't forget to follow us on all of our platforms, including Facebook, where you got us right now, as well as YouTube and Twitter and Instagram. And don't forget, if you're watching on Twitch TV, get on over to Facebook and make sure I see your comments. Denver Donkeys couldn't play themselves in the XFL. Well, yeah. I mean, they started a scout team wide receiver at quarterback, And I'm not even sure. I mean, is Locke going to come back? I don't even know. He got beat up. All right. And let's see. So, let's talk about, I've already kind of talked about the Raiders and the Colts. Excuse me. The Colts and the Raiders. That's just a cough. It's not the COVID. The Colts and the Raiders. Woo! That is a game right there. Might be one of the best games of the year. Lots of playoff implications. Fantasy football-wise, it's going to be pretty dang good. And when I say that, because you're going to look at the tight end position for Indianapolis, and the run game is the run defense for the Raiders is pretty stout, but the tight end, maybe one of their wide receivers makes a play. Meanwhile, of course, on the other side of the ball, I still think Henry Ruggs III, is old man Rivers with his turf toe Damn, Dare, you're going hard. You're going to beat down Old Man River. Old Man River. Yeah, Philip Rivers, man. He's a Colt now. He's not even in the division, but the Raiders remember. The North remembers. What? No, that's a different show. All right. So, yeah. Oh, and Waller. After that 200-yard performance, he is a must start. He's a must start for the rest of his career until he is washed up and shown he can't do it anymore. That's what I say. Anyway, still plenty of games out there. Baltimore, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Green Bay, Detroit, Atlanta, Chargers, New Orleans, Philadelphia. New Orleans, Taysom Hill versus Jared Hurts. Man. I don't even know. The Washington football team versus the San Francisco 49ers. Yeah. I went both 5-7. I wouldn't be surprised if Washington won it, you know? Anyway, we are just moments. Maybe, no, we got another little bit here. From kickoff. Ooh. And I noticed you guys did not ask me any questions for your fantasy football playoffs. So that means all you guys didn't make the playoffs. Guess who did? This guy. That's right. So, anyway, thank you all for tuning in to Prime's Fantasy Island. I will keep it going all the way until the end of the season. Week 17, I guess, or 18, whatever the last week. I don't even know how it's going to go because they flex some games. I don't know. Bye weeks, how many do you get? I don't know. But, the only stat about Philip Rivers is he's catching up in the baby department with Antonio Cromartie and Sean Kemp. Yeah, I know. That kid's got it, man. I think he's working for a starting 11. I think that's what Philip Rivers is going for, like a starting 11, right? He wants all of his kids. He's going to put them all in pads, and they're all going to play different positions. Anyway, so this is Prime. This is Prime's Fantasy Island. So you know what that means, man. Deuces. Catch me next week on Thursday. And I'm out.